Hey there, welcome to Old Man Runner. In today's video, I'm going to compare this, the Hoka One One Carbon X2 with this, the Hoka One One Mach 4. First, I'm going to compare their construction, their fit and their running feel. Then I'm going to test their performance by running some gut-busting 1K TTs in the park. And finally, I'm going to try and find out what difference the carbon plate makes. I'm making this video because a viewer called Fluffy Unicorn suggested I should. They'd bought a pair of Mach 4s, they'd worn through them and was wondering whether the Carbon X2 was worth the additional outlay. I made detailed videos of each of those and I'll link them here. I didn't want to bore you by repeating the same stuff in this video, so click on those or I'll also link them at the end. And as always, I'll put lots of stuff in the descriptions below about the specifications, sizes, all that stuff. But in this particular video, I'm simply trying to compare the differences between the two shoes and see what difference in particular the carbon plate makes. So this is what Hoka say about the Carbon X2. It's positioned as an endurance racer. The Carbon X2 delivers the same propulsive speed as its predecessor in an adaptable silhouette geared for training and racing alike. I don't know what they mean by adaptive silhouette, but let's have a look at the Mach 4. Okay, the Mach 4. This everyday running shoe delivers a lively ride and energetic underfoot feel that is unquestionably Hoka. Now, my two shoes are slightly different sizes. I think the Mach 4 is a UK 12.5 and the X2 is a 12. As many of you who've bought carbon fiber shoes know, they sell out fast and it's often not possible to get the sizes. The same is true of the Mach 4 in its early days. But what Hoka guide is that the X2 should weigh 239 grams or 8.43 ounces and the Mach 4 should be 232 grams or 8.18 ounces. In other words, there's a kind of 6 or 7 gram difference in the weight, a very small amount of weight. Both shoes have a 5mm drop. My actual shoe, this one weighs 292 grams, which is heavy for a carbon plate shoe. Most of my carbon plate shoes would come in considerably lighter than that, and we'll talk to you that a bit later on. These shoes are almost identical in terms of their upper. There's a very pronounced heel shape. They use the same materials, with the exception of the tongue, which on the X2 is lighter, but marginally. It's a little bit more plush on the Mach 4. The laces, for some reason, the laces on this shoe are much longer than I'd like them to be, but like that's a trivial thing. Oddly, Hoka say that this shoe is vegan friendly and this shoe isn't, and it's got the same materials in the sole and same in the upper, apart from the carbon fiber plate, but I can't imagine that's got much to do with it. Overall, I think this is a very well-judged shoe in terms of a comfortable, sort of everyday with a little bit of performance, right balance of weight and materials. Whereas on the other hand, the X2 is heavy. For a carbon fiber racing shoe, this is a heavy shoe. The two shoes use exactly the same materials in the sole with the exception of the carbon plate. The midsole is a ProFly and the outsole is a rubberized EVA. You can see a line here between the two. And if you look at a cutaway, which I have from the X1, the original carbon version or Carbon X, you can see the plate is here. So that's the carbon plate in the middle of the shoe is what the principal difference between these shoes is. I was keenly interested in the soles of these shoes, and because that's where the difference lies. Now, Hoka sticks some numbers on them. So on these ones, there's some numbers on the heel. Now, the numbers don't change depending on the size of the shoe. Okay, so because you can see that when you look on the website, they've still got the same ones as these, and they're unlikely to be a 12.5 on the website. But these say S39 by 25, V642, W238. And then these ones say S41 by 36, V728, and C001. And so I asked Hoka what on earth these numbers meant. S is spring measurement, V is volume, the midsole volume in millimeters cubed, W is the weight in grams, and C is carbon. It's like they're all there, but I mean, what does that actually mean? Now, what it translates to in terms of I'm assuming they take that on the same size shoe, but in this one, the volume of the ProFly, as far as I can get, is less than on this. So there's more midsole in this, more outsole in this. Now, I'm kind of slightly guessing at this because Hoka didn't exactly go through the numbers in any great detail. What you can see is that on the outside of this looks like the outsole is deeper than on the Carbon X. And then when you go to the bottom, you can see through to the carbon plate. But if you turn over the bottom of this, you'll see pretty quickly through to the ProFly. So I imagine if I cut a section through here or through here, this isn't the full depth. It's shallower than that. It just wraps up at the sides. But either way, the difference between these two shoes is mainly that there is a carbon plate in this one. So we're going to have to look at some performance to try and get a bit further with this. So we know the structure is the same in the shoe, apart from this famous plate. But what I was interested in, I thought that this M4 would be more hard-wearing. That's what I thought when I got it, that's one of the reasons you'd buy this shoe. But they've got the same foam, and both of these shoes have 140k or 85 miles, thereabouts on them. I checked the mileage on an Excel spreadsheet. The X1, or what's left of it, this wore very quickly down here and the other half up here. And they wore down, I could get a maximum about 300k out of them. This was the newer of the two shoes I'm doing today, and this one particularly wore down at effectively the same rate. And I was surprised that this does exactly the same. You can see the wear quite pronounced here, and a little bit probably on the opposite up the top here. But the same wear rate here and here on these two shoes. So that surprised me. I thought the M4 would be more hard wearing until I really realized it's exactly the same material on the outsole. Aesthetically, I love the look of this shoe in this colorway, the line going up. But although it's almost identical, I never really liked the look of this. I don't know, well, particularly in this color, I don't think it's particularly exciting. Not that that should matter too much. The big difference in terms of I mean, we're not going on about the plate too much, but the difference is in the running feel. So when you put them on, there's a noticeable difference between the running feel. This is a softer shoe, you sort of sink into it. And I mean, you'd expect that of a shoe that's intended for a lot of tempo days and a lot of also mixed with easy days. For a sort of racing shoe, you do feel the carbon plate in this. It's a much firmer feel. I like that feel. I mean, that's a feeling in the sole that I like. And you can certainly feel some energy return. I mean, I don't want to overplay this, but you do feel it. It's not huge, but it is there. The outsole is the same material on the shoes, and they both have very similar levels of grip. It's quite a tacky substance in one sense. So in the dry, the grip is good. I think that's possibly why it wears a bit. I mean, it is good. There's good grip, but there's not much traction. There's a few little grooves here. There's more grooves in this one, but neither would be great performers in the wet. So of course, they wear about the same, these two shoes, and they feel slightly different, but the real difference here is the performance. So I took them to the park to do some gut busting 1 kilometer time trials. I did them on consecutive days. So I went out, I think I did Sunday, Monday, and then the results were slightly inconsistent. So I then did them again this weekend. I did Saturday and Sunday. As Adam in the comments pointed out, you can call it the ABBA system, ABBA. So on day A, or on day one, I go out and shoe A first. So say this, and then I followed by this. And then the following day, I go out in this, followed by this. And the idea is to try and get, the second run is typically slower in each of the shoes. So you go out in different shoes on the alternative days as the first run. I found results kind of odd, really. I mean, I was testing, I used 2 different watches, but this was very consistent. All 4 laps were between 4:13 and 4:16.6 seconds. So 3 to 4 seconds difference in each of the 4 laps. Now, I'm going as hard as I can. These were really strange. These were 4 very different laps. 4 minutes and 4 seconds was the fastest, and ranging down to 4:16 and 4:18 with a 4:08.7 in between. I don't know why that was. I'm sitting here going, why are they so varied? I mean, you know, I went out first run and second run on the alternative days. So I don't know. What I do know is that I got the fastest run out of these compared to these. I enjoy running in this shoe. I like the feel a little bit more. But these are not fast by carbon plate shoes. I mean, the fastest shoes I can get about in the mid 345 or thereabouts for a kilometer. And so that's substantially faster than the fastest lap of this, which is 4:04. So I think it's the weight that's penalizing it. I was watching the Olympic triathlons yesterday, and I was amazed. I know it's Tokyo, but I was amazed how many people were in the ASICS Metaspeed. I don't know if it was Sky or the Edge, it looked like the Sky. And it's a shoe I love to run in. It's way quicker than these. And I think the guy who came second, he seemed to be wearing a pair of New Balance Fuel Cell Elites. I'm guessing, well, it must be the newest version. I have the older version. But both of those would be much faster than the Carbon X2. Less durable though. So we know this shoe is a little bit faster, a little bit firmer, has a carbon plate, but otherwise it's pretty much the same. What's the difference in the cost? Well, again, Hoka don't have the same pricing strategies throughout the world, but in Europe, this is €140. It's $130 in the United States on Fleet Feet. That's £125 in the UK. And this one is €180 in Europe, $180 on Fleet Feet, and £160. So the difference is between 25 and 35% additional cost for this shoe, varying depending on where you are. So the question is it worth it? So to try and answer Fluffy Unicorn's question, what difference does this carbon plate make, and is it worth spending the extra money on? The shoes have the same look and the same wear pretty much. These are 25 to 35% more expensive. They're a little firmer and they're a little faster. So what decision should you make? Well, this boils down to that question I love of, when I think about when I'm going out running, of if you could only buy one shoe, what would you buy? Well, I'd buy this one. I think it's worth the extra money. I like the extra feel in the shoe and a little bit more go. So if I could only buy one shoe, I'd buy this shoe. It is a good all-rounder. It's pretty quick. It's very comfortable for me. I like the firm feel. And so I would buy, if I could only buy one shoe, this is the shoe I'd buy. Now, what if I could buy two shoes, which I think is always a good idea to have two shoes in rotation, just rotate them. It ends the same money pretty much in the end because you do half the mileage in each one, more or less. So if I could buy two shoes, what would I do? Well, I would buy this one, which I would choose for my easy day running and a little bit of the tempo runs, and it's a great all-rounder. And then I would use the money I saved and stretch out and buy a super fast carbon plate shoe like the ASICS Metaspeed Sky. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful. If you did, it'd be great if you hit the like button. There'll be lots of stuff in the descriptions below. And as always, I love trying to tackle the questions that pop up in the comments. There'll be a blue subscribe button popping up there and some related videos. Well, the two videos of those shoes there. Thanks for watching. Until the next video, just keep running along.